Hello everyone, welcome back to Good Learners. In today's video, we shall continue with the remaining topics of the chapter Empowerment of Women and Other Weaker Sections. So let's get started. Family Courts 1984. Family courts were established to resolve conflicts arising out of differences within marriage and domestic problems, as well as issues such as alimony, single parenthood, separation, care of children, and ownership, which are all related to the family situation. These family courts give priority to mutual understanding over witnesses and evidence and to counselors over lawyers. Emphasis is on resolving issues quickly but justly. Trial involving alimony 1985. A fixed amount paid to a married woman for her upkeep by the husband who has divorced her is called alimony. In the case of Muhammad Ahmad Khan vs. Shah Banu Begum, the Supreme Court gave the verdict that Shah Banu Begum had the right to alimony. However, religious organization protested against the verdict. As a result, the Muslim Women's Act, Protection of Rights on Divorce, was passed by Parliament. The Commission of Sati Prevention Act. On 4th September 1987, Roop Kanwar, a married woman, committed sati. She did not do this of her own free will. She was forced into doing so. Committing sati, glorifying the practice of sati, were all illegal acts. The women activist and journalist Meena Menon, Geeta Seshu, Sujata Anandan, Anu Joseph, and Kalpana Sharma investigated the case. In 1998, the government passed the Sati Prevention Act with very stringent provisions. Protection of Human Rights Act. In 1993, this law was enacted to prevent injustice to men and women. The National Human Rights Commission was also formed for this purpose. In some states, the State Human Rights Commission was also formed on the same lines. This law, which deals with collective operation, the social condition of divorced women, and secure workplaces, played an effective role in mitigating injustices to women. Reservation for women. The 73rd and 74th Amendments to the Constitution provide for reservation of 1/3 of the seats for women in Gram Panchayats, Panchayat Samitis, Zilla Parishads, municipalities and municipal corporations, as well as for the post of Sarpanch, Chairman and Mayor. Maharashtra and 15 other states have reserved 50% seats for women. This provision provides women the opportunity to participate in the business of the community. In the post-independence period, the Constitution of India accepted the principle of equality of men and women. Hence, women got the important political right to vote. Women got equal rights to education and work on par with men. Inhuman practices like sati, dowry, and polygamy were banned by law. Women's right to sue for divorce was recognized. They got a lawful share in property. In local self-government bodies, seats were reserved for women so that they would have their just share of political power. We see today that due to these provisions, women have begun to get education and to earn. Also, due to ideas of women's liberation, women are developing a sense of self. They have begun to participate enthusiastically and with determination in all fields of education, earning money, administration, politics, etc. Scheduled caste. In the post-independence period, our constitution adopted the values of freedom, equality, fraternity, and social justice. In accordance with his, the practice of untouchability was banned by law. Untouchability was removed by the 17th paragraph of the Constitution, and this class was included in the scheduled castes. In view of the educational and social backwardness of these castes, they were given reservations in education as well as jobs to facilitate their development. Scheduled tribes. Just like the scheduled caste, the scheduled tribes or Adivasis who live in remote parts of the country also face several difficulties. As they have lived far away from the progress made in modern times, they are economically and socially backward. Even though their conditions have seen some improvement in recent times, they do not have any means of livelihood other than agriculture and forest produce. Modern farming implements have not yet reached them. Hence, the income from agriculture is very small. Besides, the fields are on hillsides and not fertile. They are malnourished due to insufficient and poor quality of diet. Adivasis in remote areas find it difficult to get medical attention in time. For all these reasons, there is a need to give special protection to Adivasis. In the Indian Constitution, Adivasis have been enumerated as scheduled tribes. They are getting given representation in law boards, education, government service, etc. Nomadic and denotified tribes. Caste and tribes that move from place to place for a livelihood are included under nomadic tribes. They live by rearing animals and engaging in some other occupations. The British had declared some of them as criminal tribes. In the law of 1871 to curb crimes, some of the main groups were mentioned as criminal tribes and their occupations and movements were banned. This unjust law was repealed in the post-independence period, and the curbs on these tribes were lifted. They were included under denotified tribes. Special efforts are made by the government for the purpose of the social and economic development. These tribes have been given representation in educational institution and government sector. Minority. In any society, a group of people of a particular religion, language, or race who are a few in number are termed a minority. As there are various religions and languages in our country, we see great cultural diversity. There is variation in cultural traditions too. In order to preserve their cultural traditions and develop their own language, the Constitution gives the citizens certain educational and cultural rights. Minorities have the right to protect and conserve their language, culture, and traditions. For this purpose, they have the right to set up separate educational institutions. The government implements various schemes for their progress. So, in today's video, we studied how women had participated extensively in the freedom struggle and made important contributions in all fields in the post-independence period, and also the laws enacted for women and other weaker sections. So that's it for today. If you like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, comment. And if you've not subscribed to our channel yet, please do subscribe.